This is 1480 KRAE Cheyenne.
Also being heard on translator K266CC Cheyenne at 101.1 FM.
Right now on 1480 KRAE, it's time for the Pro Show, featuring the only father and son sports talk show talking about the local sports scene as we take a look back and look ahead to upcoming events around our area. The Pro Show is on now, right here on 1480 KRAE. And good morning. Welcome to the Pro Show. I'm Larry Proietti, along with Nick Proietti. We bring on our first guest. He is the head coach and athletic director as well over at Pine Bluffs High School. They are the 2022 state champions in Class 1A nine-man football. We bring on Will Gray. Will, first and foremost, congratulations on a huge win over in Laramie here just a couple weeks back.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us. Yeah, the kids played really well, boys. They did what we asked them to do, and it was a fun, exciting game to be a part of.
I want to talk about your opponent before we get into all of the positives, especially from the Hornets. But again, you look at this Wranglers team, another big one, like you faced with the Rocky Mountain Huskies coming up in the Grizzlies, Rocky Mountain Grizzlies, as you played them in the semifinals. And again, another big team in the Shoshone Wranglers. But, I look at the performances of, Peyton Trumpler, Tony Trumpler's son. You look at Alex Mills, Jackson Stanley, the big tight end. I mean, these were big kids, and you got to tip your cap to the performance they had against you.
Oh, yeah, Peyton's a horse, and we were worried that if they give him the ball, 35 times, are we going to be able to tackle him 35 times, and not get beat up, and Alex does a really good job of play action and hiding the ball, and, he made a couple good throws to the Stanley kid, on some verticals, and they, threw a couple arrows out to a back in the backfield off of some play action that they just did a really good job of running their scheme, and fortunately, we put a drive together at the end to go win it.
What I thought was key or critical in that contest, we knew that Trumpler was going to get his yards, and we know they have to throw the football when they want to because they're basically a 2-to-1 run as opposed to pass. But I thought one of the keys were when they tried to mix it up and go to Cannon Campbell. You guys shut him down right before he could get started, so you forced him kind of in a second and long or maybe a third and long situation. I thought shutting him down was very important for your Hornets.
Yep, and I think they went to him on their drive before we scored. They went to him on third down, and then Ryan made a really good tackle on fourth down for a loss and gave us the ball right about the 40. And, I thought Alex's long tackle out on the edge where they tried to throw a bubble and they got off the block and made a tackle for a no gain was a big one.
We talk about Trumpler being the big offensive weapon for Shoshone in that contest, but now let's focus on Pine Bluffs, where, again, we mentioned you are state champions, but how about setting at least the tone early was Shaffer, again, what he was able to do on the ground for the Hornets. Talk about just the phenomenal Saturday that he had for your team, Coach.
Oh, yeah, Dalton is, he's a one-of-a-kind kid. He doesn't complain, and he wants the ball in his hand, every play. And when you have a kid like that, you give it to him as much as possible. He's not the biggest kid on the planet, so you try not to overload the carry so he doesn't, wear himself out. But, yeah, that first play was huge. It just kind of gave us, that confidence that, yeah, we can run the ball against these guys and we're going to be able to move the ball.
One thing you mentioned the name Ryan Fornstrom. And again, I don't want to age myself here, Coach, but he's kind of like the Fred Bolitnikoff of those Hornets. Again, he's got pretty decent speed, but when you need sure hands, boy, Stu, make sure that football's in his hands.
Oh, yeah, that, and they're best friends, and you saw, Ryan's our first kid in my, 16 years here to have 1,000 yards receiving in a season. And that was kind of his goal. Last year I think he had 700 something, and he said, I'm getting 1,000. And he did it right on 50 catches or something like that. And so he was pretty excited about that.
Another key was coming off the bench for you, and again, he was pretty stellar on the defensive side. Was Taylor Beacon?
Yeah, and Taylor, he was coming off a pretty good sprained ankle. For about 3 weeks, he was hobbling around and not quite himself. And about a Wednesday's practice, I think it might have been cold enough that he wasn't feeling his legs anyways, but he, had his first good practice in a couple weeks, and that's when we knew he was going to be all right.
We talked about all these offensive weapons, but let's talk about your field general coach against Stu Lurick, where he put up some pretty phenomenal numbers in the air, where, again, conditions were at least fair in Laramie for both the ground and air game, but Stu really at least kind of performed as what we kind of expect out of him this season.
Oh, yeah. He had the pick in the end zone, and, we showed him after the play, we pulled him out for a play and said, look, dude, there's nobody in front of you. If it's not there, just take off and run. And, he kind of relaxed after that and realized he doesn't have to make the perfect throw because there's other options. And Stu, he started a few games for us as a freshman. And, from right then and there, we're like, yeah, we got a kid. We got one. And, he's come along in so many different ways over the last 4 years that it's going to be tough to replace him.
Coach, as we mentioned many a time in our broadcast in that at least football game, that you have won state titles before Pine Bluffs, again, going back 2016, 2017, getting back-to-back state championships with the Pine Bluffs Hornets. You can win it again here in 2022. In your mind's eye, Coach, what makes this one unique or special compared to the previous two that you've won with Pine Bluffs?
I think there's two things to that. Number one, the kids. You always remember the kids from the years you win a championship, and all, the 16 kids, the 17 kids, and these kids, I always remember those kids differently. But this one, we went in feeling like we were the favorite. The first two, we weren't the favorite, and we had to play our A game in every facet to even have a chance. And this one, we felt like we were the favorite. Our practice was a little bit different. We weren't harping on the kids about so many different things that we had to do to win. It was just about being us and doing what we've been doing for the 10 previous games.
Coach, let's talk about the Laramie War Memorial experience, because again, you're patrolling the sidelines, making sure everything, all the X's and O's are being, taken care of on the field. But how do you, I guess, try to draw that adrenaline back a little bit from the kids, just knowing that, hey, they're on the big stage?
Yeah, we dealt with that in 16, where we didn't really know what to do. And so, now we kind of have a plan, and we typically arrive earlier than most of our opponents to games. So we kind of let them, walk the stadium, watch the six-man game or the game before us for a little bit. And we try to get into the indoor facility earlier than the other team, just so they can see it and experience it to themselves. And then, the locker rooms are a lot further away than what we typically use at games. So instead of going to our locker room for halftime, we just went to the indoor facility. There's restrooms, and we kind of made it our own for the day. And we just find ways to make it your own so it's not so different.
Let's talk about Abe Serrano. He was injured in that contest and played through the pain for the most part. But when he was not unable to kick an extra point, because we went, wow, the freshman, Karsten Freebug, is coming. Tell me a little bit about that experience right there for the freshman getting onto the field going, I got to put this through the end, through the uprights.
Yeah, well, Karsten's going to be a good one for us. 2 years ago, actually coming up this weekend, he broke an arm in an ATV accident, kind of a pretty big fracture and some things. And he got cleared, played football as an 8th grader, then at camp last summer he broke his arm again. So he's got some new plates in it, and he finally got cleared a couple weeks before the championship game, and we just said, you know what, we love you, but we're not going to put you out there. We're going to let it just continue to heal. But if we do make the state championship, we'll let you suit, and we'll let you kick a PAT. And, he had never kicked before this year. And so he kind of got bored at practice, and he said, you know what, I'm going to teach myself how to kick. So every day he was out there kicking, and he was making them. I think he made a 48-yarder at practice, obviously with no rush. But so he went and kicked the first one, and it was wide right, and he was just nervous. And then when Abe broke his collarbone, we were looking around like, what are we going to do? And so, we sent Carson back out there. We got permission from his parents, just to be sure that we could send him out there. And then Mitchell Burkhofer came in and kicked the kickoff because we didn't want Carson, tackling yet. And, he booted that one to the sideline, and we actually made a tackle on a kickoff, and it ended up working. But it was pretty hectic for about 5 minutes.
Let's talk about this state championship. And again, everyone is special, especially from the coaching standpoint, you and your staff. Again, you ran the table. You went undefeated. Talk about, again, Nick mentioned 16 and 17. Let's talk about the 2022 state championship. Do they just get sweeter every time you win?
I don't know if it's sweeter, but you just remember them a little bit more. And I can't describe the words or how it feels. I'm kind of the guy that I'll think about that stuff when I'm old and I'm sitting on my front porch doing nothing else. But, I can't really put it into terms. It's just the group of kids that you remember differently.
Coaches, we know with your team, again, a lot of graduating seniors, a lot of big playmakers, and again, running the table this season, picking up that state championship. Last season, again, at least came up short in that semifinal, but again, for the past couple seasons, for again a lot of your playmakers, they've had some phenomenal wins, and again, some great teams at Class 1A 9-man. Obviously, for you, Coach, the important thing on top of winning state championships is moving these kids on to the next level, whether it's JUCO or again all the way up to Division I. Again, winning the state championship, are we starting to get those inquiries about some of our playmakers there with the Hornets? Are we starting to get some eyes out the Pine Bluffs to move these guys on to continue their football career?
I don't know if winning a state championship has anything to do with it, but, our kids are talking to lots of different schools. The biggest thing for us is, do they want to? And, at a certain point, kids kind of realize that, maybe I don't want to do that or maybe I do. And, so we've always had interest in our kids. It's just a matter of them, wanting to go on and play and things like that.
Hey, Will, you mentioned great group of kids that you have, and they're going to be immortalized, at Pine Bluffs High School. I mean, this is a state championship that no one can ever take away from them. Their name's going to be locked in that trophy case. The next group of kids that are coming through, those that were part of this 30-man plus roster, I know you're already starting to pencil in 2023. What are you looking at for next season? And again, obviously the bullseye gets a lot bigger on Pine Bluffs.
Oh, it does. And we like our underclassmen. We're fortunate where our young kids get to play a full schedule. They have 7 JV games. Some of those are against some 8-man teams in Nebraska that'll do hybrid games with us. Some of them are 11-man games, but they get a full schedule. And we really like our young kids. They're different in how they are and how they play. So we're going to have to shape some things differently around them. But we really like the kids we have coming back.
Well, Will, it was very enjoyable. And again, from me to you, thank you again for all your cooperation. Again, we got you the last regular season game. We got you in the state semifinal, and we got you in the finals. And hey, we went 3-0, so we're pretty happy on this end. But we're more happy for the city of Pine Bluffs High School, and I'm sure everybody was hooping and hollering when you guys got back Saturday night.
Oh yeah, the fire truck rides never get old, buddy. Never get old.
All righty. Well, we're looking forward again. 2023. Nick and myself will be back out there. We'll be doing it again and looking to see. We'll be calling games of the defending state 1A 9-man champion Pine Bluffs Hornets.
Hey, how about the first Thursday of the regular season? We play Shoshone here at 4:00. You guys are more than welcome to come down.
Well, as long as we have our spot reserved, we're good to go.
That's right. I'll put the sign up tomorrow for you.
All righty, Will. Hey, thank you so much, buddy. And again, enjoy that state championship, and we'll catch up with you again down the road.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good Thanksgiving.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving. Head coach Will Gray of the state champion 1A 9-man Pine Bluffs Hornets. Before we go to break, Nick, and again, I know we talked about it last week, but as you hear the excitement in Will's voice, because again, it started perking up a little bit, looking ahead towards next season, but also too kind of thinking back on some of those great plays, and you mentioned it right out of the box, the Dalton Shaffer 61-yard run. I mean, wow. I mean, it sent chills down your spine that this was in the making to be something good.
Well, again, we had this team favored heavily early on in the season to be in the position that they were, and again, coming away with the championship, again, running the table as well too. Again, impressive. Again, they're going to have a huge target on their back coming up in 2023, as they did again here in 2022, without a doubt. But the key factor as well too is this Hornets team and again, we mentioned a lot of those playmakers of, again, Lurick, of Shaffer, of, again, Colin Jess, and I do believe Fornstrom, again, a lot of offensive targets that led this powerful offensive team to the promised land here, again, are graduating. So again, a lot of holes and voids to fill. But again, as we talk with Pine Bluffs, same with Cheyenne Central, same with Cheyenne East, it's a team that reloads, doesn't rebuild under head coach Will Gray. But again, it's going to be curious to see how they do come out of the box. And again, that Thursday contest, again, will be a fun one to watch, as they, again, a rematch of the state title game against Shoshone as well too, a team that graduates a lot of their offensive talent as well, a lot of those big guys. So 2023, again, big question mark for Pine, but you got to imagine, yes, they are going to be the favorites to at least get into that position again.
Well, at least on the offensive side, Stu's brother got some snaps. So, again, he knows what's expected of him at the quarterback position. The offensive line will be anchored by David Merrifield. So he's coming back. He's a big kid, about 255. And again, too, and I'm glad you mentioned a lot of seniors. We didn't get a chance even to throw out the likes of Diego Peniagua, who had a great game. And again, he's graduating. But, again, you look at the cupboard over at Pine Bluffs, it's not bare by any stretch of the imagination. And winning now has become a tradition over there. So, again, I think this next group of kids that, will either be sophomores, juniors, or seniors, they know what's expected and how to get to the big dance.
From my perspective, again, you feel pretty confident here in Southeast Wyoming that football's pretty strong in this part of the world, albeit, again, with East coming up short against Sheridan. But, again, still making it that state title game, Central in the playoffs, Burns back into the playoffs. Pine getting the state championship. Again, Cheyenne South is a team that's work in progress
under
and
new direction.
Under new direction with head coach Eli Moody. But again, 4 of our 5 teams here within this county, again, from various classifications, all were playoff bound. 2 of them making it to the state title games. Again, yeah, you feel pretty confident that this part of the world, in at least here in the state of Wyoming, that football's pretty strong, that we got the athletes, and that we got some, winning cultures out here that are reloading year after year, and that the rest of the state has to kind of take a quick look out here to at least the Laramie County, and especially the city of Cheyenne, of just what we're doing out here, again, what we're developing talent-wise in this part of the world.
It's interesting, too, as we put a wrap on high school football, and again, I'm doing this without notes here, Nick, as we had our first guest on, Will Gray of the state champion Class 1A 9-man Pine Bluffs Hornets. We're going to turn our thoughts into basketball as well. We'll have a little football conversation as well, but I do believe Jim Shaffer, head coach of the Cheyenne Central Indians, joins us. Chad DeBruyn, head coach of the South High Fighting Bison boys team, and we will have Eric Westling of the defending state 4A champion Cheyenne East Lady Thunderbirds also join us. So we got a power-packed program coming up.
Yeah, as I say, as we'll keep it here, because, again, we will have Jim on here in about 8 minutes. And again, if we want to get into basketball, at least kind of preview, we do have, at least I'll give a quick plug for LCCC in action, men and women, over at Story Gymnasium. Coming up 5 and 7 o'clock tonight. I think various opponents for LCCC on the men and women side. I think women take on Air Force Prep. Men take on, I do believe, Trinidad State. So at least 5 and 7 over at Story Gymnasium. But yes, for us here on 1480 K-Ray, again, for this upcoming winter time for the next couple months, our main focus will be high school basketball with not only the 3 schools here in Cheyenne, but again, we will make a trip out to Burns, make a trip out to Pine Bluffs to cover those teams as well, which, again, they've saw success. I do believe Pine making it at least at the state tournament. Burns trying to get back in that situation as well, too. Again, basketball as well. We talk about football being pretty healthy in this part of the world. Basketball as well, especially as you mentioned with both East teams, boys and girls. Again, we'll hopefully talk with Rusty Horsley next week. We know on Central side, again, Jim Shaffer's got some shoes to fill, especially with the loss of Nathaniel Talich to graduation. Again, he's got some big shoes, or at least trying to find that main point getter for him.
But his brother had this growth spurt, so again, you might you might want to start targeting this team around Chase. I mean, again, he's about, 6'5" now?
And also, too, again, on the inside, you'll have James Brown, at least with him as being one of the bigs, so he'll compete throughout the state. But, again, as we preview high school basketball right now, again, boys and girls, and you can make a slight case on the girls' side that, again, you have a couple teams in the Western Conference side that are going to be contender. Again, Cody, can't forget, again, it was East versus Cody in that state title game last season up there in Casper. But if we focus on the boys' side of things, again, for state championship favorites or state tournament favorites, it's pretty much heavy on the eastern side, especially here in the southeast quadrant. Again, we won't at least sell short Cheyenne South. Who knows what Chad DeBruyn is able to do with the Fighting Bison over there. But again, East, Central, and who knows with Laramie. Laramie's kind of the big potential dark horse team. And again, we mentioned them a couple years here and now, but it's something that keep an eye on Laramie. We look up to the northeast quadrant. Again, can't sell short Campbell County what they do. Thunder Basin as well, too. Again, Thunder Basin, you're at least defending champs. Yeah, Sheridan without a doubt. And, again, as we make this flip-flop between the Casper schools and Natrona County back into the Eastern Conference, Kelly Walsh moving back into the West. So, again, who knows with the Mustangs, who seem to be competitive. So, but, again,
but they've been down as of the last
But either
few
way,
years.
though, Eastern Conference, especially on boys' side, and again, to an extent on the girls' side as well, is pretty heavy dominant this season. That you got to imagine that, again, whoever's coming away with the state championship is coming on at least this side of the state.
Oh, absolutely. I think so. You know, you look over to the west, the Star Valley Braves are always competitive. Green River's still rebuilding. They're not reloading. They're rebuilding over there. Evanston had a lot of success right at the turn of the 21st century, but they have fallen on hard times. You mentioned the Bronx. I think Casper Kelly Walsh right now, you got to stamp them as probably the favorites in the West right now. And it would not surprise me that you would see either Casper Kelly Walsh or Cody at the big dance this year. And again, we're talking March of 2023.
Yeah, and again, regarding the regional tournament as well for both boys and girls, especially here in the Eastern Conference side, again, we'll be at Casper, so back-to-back weekends for whoever makes it out, again, especially out of that regional tournament. Again, we'll be at Natrona County hosting the regional tournament, and then back up to Casper for the state tournament, so at least familiar digs, especially for those here, at least our Cheyenne, at least teams that, again, making that familiar trip back and forth to Casper, again, 2 weekends in a row, so interested to see. Again, and I guess because we'll have Jim Shaffer on here in about a couple of minutes. Who, again, Jim Shaffer, time with Cheyenne Central, again, as an assistant, head coach at Cheyenne South, spent a little time over in Laramie. So, again, he's a Hall of Famer. He knows what he's doing, and he's going to get this Central team kind of back in the track, or at least get him back into that state tournament as we've come to at least expect out of this program, especially when Tag Lane was in charge of it. But, you know, again, we focus on the boys' side. East is, you got to fill that East with Rusty Horsley again. You're going to be one of the top dog teams. And again, if we focus on the Southeast quadrant, East has got to be the favorite to come out as the number one seed. Central's probably going to be right behind them, number two. I think it's going to be a nice little battle between at least 4 and number 2 between them and Laramie. And like I said, the question mark right now is Cheyenne South, who did graduate a lot. Again, Chad DeBruyn in his first season, again, he knows what South High Fighting Bison athletics is about. And again, basketball, again, being the former girls head coach, now transferring over to be the boys after, again, with at least the resignation or stepping down, Jeff Bailey as the head coach at that time. But again, South is kind of a question mark. Can they be one of those, at least fight their way up to a 2 or a 3 seed, or again, maybe be competitive for a 1 seed? Again, it'll be curious to see. Again, the Plainsmen, they are a question mark as well, too. Central, I think you have 3 teams that are question marks, and I think the battle between 2 and 3 and 4 seeds coming out of the Southeast quadrant, it might be a complete kind of dogfight throughout this season.
Well, you know, Chad DeBruyn over at South, a very patient coach, a good coach. And again, he's been on the sidelines for many, many years. He took that 1 year off and came back. But also, too, you look at that program that he had of the ladies, which he brought from freshmen all the way to seniors. Unfortunately, a couple of key injuries right there towards the end of the season dashed their hopes. So, again, if he can keep his team healthy, it looks like this is going to be another Chad DeBruyn project where he builds this program over the next couple of seasons. Do they vie for a state championship this year? Probably not.
Probably not.
But are they going to be? They're going to be competitive. And again, the thing over at South, they're usually small. So you're going up against a lot of big teams that have that 6'5", 6'7" kid, and the tallest guy on South is about 6'3". So again, you're kind of behind the eight ball. So it's one of those situations where Chad's got to build that program one block at a time.
I guess the question is, especially here in the Southeast quadrant, again with Central, East, South, and Laramie within it, that there. I don't know if you make a case that East is the favorite on the boys' side here in this quadrant. As I keep thinking about it again, looking at these teams and looking at who's returning, who was lost, this might be, again, I don't feel like there is a favorite team in this quadrant that, again, it's going to be a battle, whether it is at Story Gymnasium or, again, the Traps, at least travels over to Laramie. Again, Plainsman coming over here to play at the various sites here in Cheyenne. It's going to be very interesting to see in this quadrant alone just who can be that number one seed. I want to give that nod to the East High boys, but I kind of stop and pause and think, well, maybe Central could be competitive. Not wrong. Maybe Laramie could be
You're not wrong, though, on East. Think about the veteran talent that's coming back. Yeah. You got Jackson coming back. You've got McAnally coming back. You also got some size coming back with the Shiny Thunderbirds. And again, they have been there. They've knocked at the door and not gotten in yet. I think this might be the year that they get in. Jim Shaffer, again, and again, we'll have that conversation with him coming up here in a couple of moments. But again, Jim Shaffer, been there, did it, done it.
Yeah.
And he's got weapons. He's got some really good weapons over at Cheyenne Central. And again, highly skilled athletes. Okay? So again, just if they can conform to his system, I think I was
going to say, more than likely you're returning with Whitworth. Again, you have at least Chase Talich, again, with James Brown as well, too, the big on the inside. So, again, there are some, at least varsity experience a part of Jim Shaffer's team. It's just, again, them transitioning from Tag Lane's style of offensive play and defense to now with Jim Shaffer, which, again, I don't think, and we had that conversation many months when he was hired on, that, again, it wasn't going to be a whole lot of change in the system, but, again, curious to see. Like I said, as I think about it more, there isn't a favorite within this quadrant to be that number one seed. That, again, it might be a complete dogfight that anyone, and again, I'll include Cheyenne South in that conversation, that anyone has a chance to win any given Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night or afternoon within play. Now, again, how they compete against the Northeast quadrant, again, that's going to be determined, especially with some of the talent that we know with Sheridan and Thunder Basin as well. Again, Thunder Basin, your defending champs. Cheyenne East, let's make note, again, on the boys' side, again, they were state runner-up in that contest against the Thunder Basin Bolts.
See, I'll disagree with you. Just real quick, with East and Central, what I like about both of those teams right now, and again, it's a good mixture of veteran talent. Again, where you mentioned Whitworth, who's been at the point. So again, he knows the drill. You got some size around him. We saw what Lawson Lovering did along with the Storbo twins back in that day when they went to the state championship. You look over at Rusty Horsley's team, where they've got middle size, they've got size out on the wings as well.
They got outside shooting as well too.
Yeah. So again, right there, I put those teams 1 and 2 that they're going to be really tough to beat here in the Southeast quadrant. We will be back after a timeout. Jim Shaffer, Cheyenne Central head basketball coach, joins us right here on 1480 K-Ray.
Your locally owned and operated radio stations, KYOI FM and 1480 K-Ray AM, are just that, local, serving Cheyenne and Laramie County, where your advertising dollar stays local too. It doesn't end up in Colorado, Oklahoma, New Hampshire, or even New York. We conduct business here, we shop here, and we live here. And we support our entire community 24/7, 365. Just because it has a window dressing doesn't mean it isn't a facade. A reminder from KYOI and 1480 K-Ray.
I'm Brandon Warner with the Silent Witness Crime of the Week. The Laramie County Sheriff's Office is seeking information related to a larceny that occurred in the 11,000 block of Campstool Road. During the evening hours of November 1st, 2 steel chainsaws and 2 champion generators were taken. If you have information about this or other crime, call Crime Stopper Silent Witness at 638-TIPS or on the web at silentwitnesslaraمیcounty.com. We will remain anonymous and may be eligible for a cash reward of up to $1,000. Together, we can make a difference.
Wisdom, expertise, compassion, qualities that are the foundation of Cheyenne Urological, with their experienced doctors and their highly trained staff providing top quality treatment for prostate cancer, urinary tract infections, kidney stones, impotence, and incontinence, you can trust Cheyenne Urological to give you the highest quality urinary care. Now offering the latest in robotic surgery, call Cheyenne Urological at 635-4131. That's 635-4131.
Attention! This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. That's 800-797-0711.
It's always nonstop excitement when you visit one of our 3 locations of Wyoming Downs. Inside the Outlaw Saloon on the South Greeley Highway, the Cheyenne Plaza, and at 1345 Delrange Boulevard, next to Culver's and Office Depot, where we offer many new machines and also have plenty of food and drink on hand in our spacious Delrange location. The action is always fast and furious with our pari-mutuel wagering from the nation's tracks and our pari-mutuel machines, which offer many different and fun games to play on. You can become the next big winner here in Cheyenne. Make sure to take advantage of all the promotions that we offer too. So come on in today and bring a friend to enjoy a lot of fun and excitement at Wyoming Downs in the Cheyenne Plaza, inside the Outlaw Saloon, and at 1345 Delrange Boulevard. Open 7 days a week. For more information, go to wydowns.com.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 K-Ray.
Otherwise, for today's sunshine, expect the daytime high near 50, mostly clear for tonight, low down to 23. Tomorrow, Wednesday, partly sunny and breezy. We're calling for a daytime high near 44, and for Wednesday night, a mostly cloudy night with a slight chance for snow in the forecast, blustery conditions. Our low dropping down to 23 degrees. Welcome back to the Pro Show. I'm Larry Proietti, along with Nick Proietti. It is our extreme pleasure right now to talk to the Hall of Famer, head basketball coach now at Cheyenne Central, and Jim Shaffer joins us on our program. Coach, always a pleasure to chat with you as we get a chance to talk some hoops. We talk some Central Indians hoops. And again, your kids have been at it. And let's talk about, and you got some of those kids that came over from the football program as well, too. So let's talk about the team being in shape right now, running up and down the floor. Are they ready to tip it off?
No, we're not, but we've got a couple of weeks before we have to be ready to do that. So it's going to be a process here.
One of the things, Coach, and we were talking about it prior, as we were kind of trying to be that media analyst here and sizing up the Southeast with with Cheyenne East and South and of course Laramie, but your Cheyenne Central Indians, and this has to be something nice for you, in addition to having some veteran talent coming back mixed in with some youth. But you also have some size, and again, you got speed on the floor too. So you've got a little bit of everything that kind of makes it nice to put together for your team.
Yeah, we don't have the one big guy, but our overall team size I think is pretty good. And we're athletic, and we have a chance to if we can put all the pieces together to have a pretty good basketball team.
Coach, as we, again, get practice underway, and again, we get those folks from the fall sports on now for basketball. Again, we'll look on the varsity side, but again, on down JV to the freshman teams there for Cheyenne Central. Again, we talk numbers. Do we get, numbers that we were expecting? Did we see a little extra folks come on out for the basketball season? What have we seen so far for the early stages of practice here?
Well, yes, it was our first day, and we were somewhere between 70 and 80 kids. Um, in our gym where we've got the three side-by-side practice floors, we're all in there at the same time. So it was a crowded gym, and it was more kids than I'm used to having and dealing with at one time. But it's nice to have that interest, and I think part of it is the success they've had in the past, and part is it's a new basketball coach and a chance for some kids to come out and have a fresh start. So we had a lot of kids there.
Coach, as we preview this upcoming season for the Cheyenne Central Indians, again, I think at least myself and Pops across the way, would agree that Central is one of those teams that is a state tournament contender. Again, we will see to be determined on if they, again, can get into that state championship contest. But we look at the Southeast Quadrant, again, for the Cheyenne Central Indians, again, returning a lot of the veteran talent that was part of the varsity team last year. Again, we look at East, we look at South, we look at Laramie. Is this going to be a competitive kind of any given Thursday, Friday, Saturday that, again, it's going to be a kind of dogfight for that number one seeding coming out of the Southeast Quadrant?
Well, you look at East, and they've got just about everybody back, and they're really, really good and loaded. So, I think they've got to be the favorites. South lost most of their guys last year. They've got a new head coach in DeBruyn. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens with them. And then Laramie last year, I was coaching in Laramie. We played a lot of young kids. So we had 5 freshmen that played last year at Laramie, and those kids will be sophomores, and it's a good class, and I think they're going to be better. So, I think any night, you've got your work cut out for you.
Jim, you've been through these wars for many years right now, and again here on the local side, including Laramie last season. You're over at Cheyenne Central again. Last time you were at Cheyenne Central, you were an assistant coach, and one of the nice things, and I have to tip my cap to Tag Lane. Did not leave the cupboard bare for you, but also too, Tag brought back that tradition of winning at Cheyenne Central. And again, when I got here in 1986, when it was state championship time, you expected the Indians to be there up against Mike Curry's Gillette Camels back in the day. But my point is, how do you express or teach tradition to these kids as they step on and become Indian basketball players?
I think our kids understand that. You've got the banners on the wall, and all the years that Central has won state championships in basketball here, and it's one of the 2 or 3 best jobs in the state in my mind, and our kids know that, and it's there's great tradition here, like you talked about, from Lou Roney to Kevin McLeod to Tag did a great job, and hopefully I don't screw things up, but I like I said, I think if we can put all the pieces together, we've got a chance to be pretty good.
Does that tradition still mean a hill of beans to these young men?
It's hard to tell. I think so. I mean, I think they understand, and any kid wants to win games and be successful. So, there's an old saying that tradition never graduates or doesn't graduate. So, I think just kids understanding how to win and having been a part of being in winning programs, and Central's won 2 state championships since 2016. In 2016, they beat us at South when I was the head guy at South, and then they won it again 2 years ago. So, those kids have been around and they've seen that success, and so I think it makes a difference.
Jim, let's talk about the East in general, and again, we talk about our own quadrant again. 3 teams that you're very familiar with. Chad, his coaching ability, but he's going to have to rebuild over at Cheyenne South. But looking at those teams in the north, and we draw Casper Natrona, where Natrona's been struggling over years. Again, it's always been a solid program, but they've been a little down as of late. But you look at the Thunder and the Campbell counties, and you're always going to get a top dog effort out of Sheridan. That north is also pretty loaded as well.
Yeah, and it's always the north is always going to be really good, and then we've got obviously the east side of the state versus the west side, and in our mind that the east side is a lot stronger conference and region. But like you said, the two Gillette schools are great basketball tradition and have a lot of guys back. Sheridan is always good. Natrona's got a new head coach, so it'll be interesting to see where they're at, but I think they're going to be better. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough region, and you're going to have to play well to get the state.
Our first contest with Cheyenne Central, both boys and girls, will be coming up in the month of December, the 15th, 16th, and 17th, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, a part of the Greeley Central tournament down there in Colorado. Looking forward to that. Coach, as again, here we are early into, again, just practice before we get into preseason action after, again, the Thanksgiving break and then into the month of December. But for you, Coach, as, again, first time with this Indians program, seeing this team and seeing what varsity experience that we have a part of the Cheyenne Central Indians, what's kind of expectations, or at least what are you looking for offense and defense-wise out of your Indians, especially as we get into the preseason before conference action, or at least before that Taco John's invite here in town?
Well, we've got two starters back. You've got Jackson Whitworth and James Brown, who are two returning starters. Zach Wiltanger and Sammy Shumway played a lot of minutes last year. So you've got four guys with a lot of varsity experience. And then Central had a great JV team last year. I mean, they would have beaten a ton of varsity teams. They were really good and fun to watch. And those guys are primarily juniors. So that group will make up our varsity. You throw Joe Sawyer in there. D-Hop brothers, Carson Brown. So we've got a lot of guys that can play, and I think our biggest asset is our depth. We can play 10 or 12 guys, and we don't lose much going that deep. So our biggest thing going for us is our depth, and so to take advantage of that, we want to get up and down the floor, and we want to press and play fast and take advantage of the fact we can play a lot of players and try to wear the people down.
Jim, I'm glad you mentioned that, pressing and getting up and down the floor. And again, too, you have a coaching philosophy that has been successful for years and years and years. Do you have to adapt to your players on the floor? Whether you want them to be hard chargers down the floor, outside shooters, you want to work it inside. Do you have to adapt to that talent that you have on the floor?
Well, I think you've always got to adapt to the players you have. And the good thing about where we're at right now is the way I want to play is up and down the floor and play fast and pressure and make it a 94-foot game. And we've got the guys that are athletic enough to do that. We've got some size, but the quickness and athleticism that allows us to do that, and we've got the depth to do that. So, fortunately, what I would like to do philosophically fits really good with our personnel at this point. So, hopefully we can put it all together.
All right, Jim. Well, we are looking forward to catching up with you at that tournament in Greeley. Been there, did it, done it, and looking forward to catching up with the Indians and the Lady Indians here in about, 3 weeks or so. It's time to tip it off again.
Yeah, we play the week before that, December 8th, 9th, and 10th in Casper, so that Greeley tournament's our second week into games. But, yeah, we don't have much time to get ready.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck to the Indians this season.
Well, thanks for having me, and appreciate it.
All right, Jim Shaffer, head coach of the Cheyenne Central Indians hoops, as we have to, even though we get a little break between football and basketball, but it'll be upon us really quick. We need to take a break. We'll come back with more of the Pro Show. I'm Larry Proietti. Nick Proietti joins me as well. We're back after these words.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hi, it's Lee at Absolute Flooring. The holidays are arriving quickly. With guests set to arrive soon, it's time to gift yourself with new flooring. No matter what type of flooring you would like, Absolute Flooring has what you're looking for in a price to suit your needs. With the best selection of styles and colors available, we can help whether it's one room or a whole house. Why not make this your best season ever by visiting Absolute Flooring at 3573 East Lincoln Way and at AbsoluteFlooringWYO.com. Remember, it's always your home, your floor, your store. Absolutely.
Next time you have a craving for authentic Mexican cuisine, visit Hacienda Guadalajara at 317 East Lincoln Way. Locally owned and operated, they serve their dishes with family tried and true recipes with the freshest of ingredients, made to order. Start off your meal with their complimentary chips, salsa, and bean dip. And if you're feeling adventurous, enjoy your favorite margarita or cerveza. Hacienda Guadalajara, where the spice is always nice.
For over 30 years and still delivering the results you expect is Cheyenne Auto Repair and Service. Larry Proietti again for cars in downtown Cheyenne, reminding you that John and his staff are there to take care of your vehicle's woes. From an oil change and replacing windshield wipers to digging deep into fixing your heating and your air conditioning unit, or fixing your brakes and shocks. You can depend on Cheyenne Auto Repair and Service for taking care of most minor repairs. And most importantly, John is a TechNet professional, which says he is one of the best nationally when it comes to getting your car or truck back on the road as soon as possible. Check it out online, technetprofessional.com. Don't wait till the last minute. Have your vehicle serviced by one of the best in Cheyenne. Cheyenne Auto Repair and Service at 604 West Lincoln Way. Call for an appointment at 307-632-0498. Open Monday through Friday.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more.
800-368-1307. 800-368-1307. 800-368-1307. That's 800-368-1307.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 K-Ray.
Otherwise, for today's sunshine, expect the daytime high near 50, mostly clear for tonight, low down to 23. Tomorrow, Wednesday, partly sunny and breezy. We're calling for a daytime high near 44, and for Wednesday night, a mostly cloudy night with a slight chance for snow in the forecast, blustery conditions. Our low dropping down to 23 degrees. Still to come, we'll check in with Chad DeBruyn, head coach of the South High Fighting Bison, or Westling, the defending state 4A champion Shiny Lady Thunderbirds. You know, Nick, and you were in Casper last year. So you saw the Lady Thunderbirds capture the state championship, and you look at, okay, well, Brady Schlabs we know is coming back. And again, she's, you know, for a young lady her size, so many things she can do to spark a team. But they did graduate quite a bit.
Yeah.
I know if I got my notes right, Jade Brown and also Gracie Oswald will be coming back. But again, this is going to be a younger team, so you kind of have to.
It's a younger team that
you have to wrap it around Brady.
It's a younger team that lost a lot of size on the inside, a lot of height as well too. That's kind of the concerning thing. But again, you got to imagine, though, with Coach Westling for Cheyenne East, that obviously they're going to have the big target on their back throughout the state, them and probably Cody with the Lady Bronx as well. Again, Cody got to be up there again. We already had it back-to-back of state title, at least games between those two. Again, you got to imagine that those two are expected to be kind of in the mix coming up here in 2023, but we will see how the season develops, especially for Cheyenne East on the lady side. But yeah, again, I think that's kind of the main concern, is that they lost size, they lost height, but again, they reload, they don't rebuild. It's a reload program under Coach Westling, so you got to imagine that they're going to have, again, are they going to go unbeaten this year? No. I think they're gonna take some lumps probably early on as they develop, but again, this is a team that should be comfortably a 1 or 2 seed coming out of the Southeast Quadrant. As we preview rest of the girls, at least and we'll start here in the Southeast Quadrant of things. Coach Kirkbride with Cheyenne Central, again, team that had its growing pains last season, but again, developing, didn't lose a whole lot of graduations. Again, they got a lot of varsity experience. They're going to be in the mix to kind of vie with Cheyenne East for that 1 or 2 seed possibly. Cheyenne South with Coach Epler,
they did take their lumps last year.
It might be another tough year. It might be a similar situation of the football program over Cheyenne South, where again it's going to take a couple seasons to develop and build upon, kind of similar to what Coach DeBruyn had a couple seasons ago with the full freshman varsity team. That again, it's going to take some time, but again, we'll see what Coach Epler can do to turn around, see if they can be competitive here in the Southeast. And with the Laramie Lady Plainsmen, I think they are similar to the boys of that kind of dark horse question mark team of, can they get a couple surprise victories here against East or Central, whether it's in Laramie or here
going
in
back
town.
to Coach Appler though of South, and again, not to beat this dead horse, the cupboard was pretty bare. I mean, you had basically your JV team that was moving up to the varsity. So again, that was let's get accustomed to Coach Epler, his style of play. And let's start developing these young ladies that came up from the junior varsity. Well, they got a year under their belt. Will they be a little better this year? Absolutely.
They should be,
I think they'll be a little bit better. Again, too, is it another year in the making for them? You might be right.
Is it a Lady Fighting Bison team that'll make it to the state tournament? I don't foresee it. I think it's going to be a tough path for them to get to that state tournament.
Again, the East is loaded.
Well, and especially in the Southeast quadrant, again, I think it might be a good 3-team battle, and it'll include the Laramie Lady Plainsmen. Again, they return a talented part of that team. But, again, East has got to be your favorite as of right now, and I wouldn't say odds-on favorite, again, due to graduation with that program. But, again, Central's going to be a contender possibly. I think you could see both East and Central in that state tournament. Laramie probably the team on the outside in. And if we should focus on very quickly up to the Northeast quadrant, again, Campbell County, always a threat. Thunder Basin, always a threat. Sheridan last year had some growing pains as well, similar to Cheyenne South. And with Natrona County, it seems with the Lady Phillies, they're kind of building that program
they
back.
Made the East a lot better. As opposed to the guys, the ladies made the East a lot better. And again, at that North, and I hate to use the word, but it's going to be a bloodbath. Let's be real honest. Campbell County, when they were Gillette High School under Mitch Holst, and again, he's been around for a long time. The point is, they expect to win.
Yeah.
Okay, even at Campbell County, Thunder Basin is trying to start that tradition of winning. Sheridan has been up and down as far, but Natrona, they have been probably next to Campbell County. They have been the next consistent.
It's a slow climb for Natrona County to get back into kind of the prestige value that they are, especially in that quadrant where, again, you do have to worry about the talent that is in Gillette with Campbell County and Thunder Basin without a doubt. But, again, here in girls basketball in Class 4A, again, we compare it to the boys. Boys, it's pretty heavy on the talent-wise in the Eastern Conference. I would say you give an edge to the Eastern Conference on the girls' side for the amount of teams. But, again, you can't disrespect the West, especially with the likes of Cody. Who knows with Casper Kelly Walsh with the Lady Trojans.
Lady Wolves have been building up that program over in Green River.
Yeah, so again, the West is something where, again, you can't hand a crown immediately to whoever comes out, as the best team in the Eastern Conference. So you got to stop and pause and realize that the West still has a lot of talent, especially with Cody with the Lady Bronx, who, again, I'd imagine they are the odds-on favorite in, at least on that conference side, to, again, represent or possibly get back in that
and
state.
We haven't even thrown in the conversation, both on the boys and girls side. We haven't thrown Rock Springs. Rock Springs boys are going to be a little better this year, and the ladies have been consistent. But again, I go back to the Lady Phillies of the Mustangs, the Lady Phillies of Casper and Natrona, I should say. One of the things that you can almost bank on, year in, year out, Final Four at the state tournament.
Yeah.
They're somehow, some way in that semifinal round. Very rarely are they not a part of the state tournament. So I think the Phillies are going to have something to say being in the East this year.
Yeah, but again, you got to face against that Cody team, and again, we've seen what they're doing right now up there in the northern part of the state. That they are reloading year after year. That is a phenomenal program on the girls side of basketball, but. Compared to the boys, where, again, a Final Four could be a realistic of 4 Eastern Conference teams vying for that state championship, On the girls' side, again,
Could be a split.
It easily could be a split where, again, could it be Kelly Walsh and Cody representing Cody and Rock Springs or whoever? Again, I think that's a realistic expectation. But, again, you will have, I think, guaranteed a smattering or at least minimum of 2 teams out of the East that should at least get into the Final Four of the state tournament up there in Casper. Again, whether it is Cheyenne East, whether it is Cheyenne Central, whether it is Thunder Basin, Campbell County, again, that's tough to at least decipher in the Northeast quadrant right now of who's going to be that top dog team where, we've seen Campbell County over the past couple of years. They fluctuate, but it's not a needle-moving fluctuation that, again, they're still pretty good. They're still winning games, and they're still making it on that state tournament. Thunder Basin's that team that seems like elevating year after year, that they're really talented. And again, as I'm talking about, think about it, I'd hand the favorite, where, again, I'll give Cheyenne East here in this part of the world the favorite to come out of that regional, or at least be that number 1 seed. I'd say Thunder Basin is your number 1 team in the Northeast on the girls' side of basketball here in Class 4.
Well, and you keep saying Cody, but what's been slowly happening in the southern part, the southwestern part, are the Lady Wolves in Green River. They have been slowly rebuilding that program.
They ran into, again, tough. My understanding, or at least remembering from last season, again, ran into a couple of injuries. But when they got into conference play, though, that's where they looked pretty dominant in preseason. But conference play, again, taking on the likes of a Cody team, again, kind of saw them going a little bit of a downturn heading into that state tournament without a doubt. So, but who knows with Green River, can they replicate that? Again, I think the team to beat in the west side is Cody. I think plain and simple.
Oh, yeah, since they were at the dance last year. And again, the top 2 teams at the dance last year, you definitely have to stamp as favorites. But again, there's always that team that's going to come out of nowhere. And this year, I say the Lady Wolves out of Green River is that team to come out of nowhere. Again,
I'd be curious about Star Valley.
They've been a top 4. I would not discount the fact that Green River becomes like a number 2 seed out of the West this year.
If there's a dark horse team, I'd be curious. West side, if I pick one, I'd say Star Valley, Lady Braves. Seems like that program's slowly building towards something right now.
Wolverines in Riverton.
Yeah, but again, if you're giving me a true dark horse, again, I'm curious about Star Valley. In my opinion, on the east side, give me the Laramie Lady Plainsmen. Something about it. Again, I feel like I pick the Laramie teams year in and year out to be that dark horse.
Wrong.
But again, I think they deserve that respect, though, that they have that talent. That again, if they can get things to gel and work together, that they can make something special of there. Again, will Laramie, this season on both the boys and the girls side win a state championship? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's a reality. But can they surprise, get in that state tournament and have a decent run? Possibly. Again, if I have to choose of potential surprise teams this season, give me Star Valley, give me Laramie.
To our listening fans and to our viewing fans, don't go to DraftKings.com and take our...
You've been wrong about most things here on the show, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Excuse me?
You were wrong about the Cowboys, at least this past Saturday.
I said that Boise was favored by 14. I didn't say anything more than that. I knew Boise was going to win. That was about it. I didn't realize that the Cowboys coaching staff was going to hand the win to the Broncos, but we'll talk about that a little later on. We got to bring on Chad DeBruyn. He's coming up next, head coach of the Cheyenne South Fighting Bison, and we'll be back after these words right here in 1480 KRA.
This is 1480 KRAE Cheyenne.
Attention! This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. That's 800-797-0711.
Whatever the adventure, the new 2022 Kia Sorento can help you get there. I'm AJ Miller for Kia of Cheyenne. Let us show you the impressive value of a new Kia. The 2022 Kia Sorento will provide all-weather performance with available all-wheel drive, a turbo engine, ample seating and cargo space, and one of the best warranties in the business. Come into Kia of Cheyenne, call 775-0123 or go to kiaofcheyenne.com and we'll make it easy.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-961-2730. 800-961-2730. That's 800-961-2730.
I'm probably okay to have one more drink before I drive home. Probably okay. I open the window to stay alert. Probably okay. I just popped some gum in my mouth.
Step out of the car, please.
I probably made a mistake.
Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Paid for by Federal Highway Safety Funds.
At the Cheyenne Regional Cancer Center, we take a caring, comprehensive approach to cancer treatment and prevention. To best serve your needs, we provide chemotherapy, radiation oncology, and infusion treatments, as well as the quality care, resources, and support you need from one warm, welcoming location that's close to home. For more about our compassionate approach to cancer care and prevention, visit CheyenneRegional.org/cancer.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 K-Ray.
Otherwise, for today's sunshine, expect the daytime high near 50, mostly clear for tonight, low down to 23. Tomorrow, Wednesday, partly sunny and breezy. We're calling for a daytime high near 44, and for Wednesday night, a mostly cloudy night with a slight chance for snow in the forecast, blustery conditions. Our low dropping down to 23 degrees. Right now on 1480 K-Ray, it's time for the Pro Show, featuring the only father and son sports talk show talking about the local sports scene as we take a look back and look ahead to upcoming events around our area. The Pro Show is on now, right here on 1480 K-Ray. And good afternoon. I'm Larry Proietti, along with Nick Proietti. We bring on our next guest. He is the head coach of the South High Fighting Bison. You would remember him more recently as the head coach of the South High Lady Fighting Bison, but now taking over the boys' reins after stepping away for a year. Chad DeBruyn. Chad, always great to talk to you. And we're going to get right into the mix here of the Fighting Bison. I know it's early. As you are seeing your team go through the drills and what have you. But talk about what you have numbers-wise as you get ready for this upcoming 2022-23 basketball campaign.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me on, guys. Excuse me. So, yeah, last night was our first practice, and we had about 60 guys show up last night. And I'm anticipating maybe another 10 or so guys tonight that we're just getting physicals and doing some of those things like that. So great turnout. The numbers are really good. You never really know what to expect that first night. And so coming up with a practice plan when you don't know how many guys are going to be in the gym can be kind of tough. But we had a really good practice, and we're ready to rock and roll tonight.
You know, Chad, I know you got some veterans coming back that were part of the Fighting Bison program, but you graduated last season, a lot of graduation. I almost feel like, and I hope you can kind of relate to what I'm going to say here, is that it looks like you're going to be building this program again from the ground up, similar to that group of young ladies that you had. You had that 4-year plan, and when they were seniors, they were pretty
doggone good until a couple of injuries hit you right there towards the end of the season. Are we in that same kind of mold again, where you're not so much building from the ground floor, but it's going to be a block at a time?
Well, yeah, we're definitely not building from the ground floor. You know, we started that group that you just mentioned. We got those kids in junior high and worked them 6 years. And so, you know, I have 10 seniors in the gym right now, and a lot of those guys are going to get a lot of significant minutes, and they're going to be huge for us. And so starting off with 10 seniors is a little different than how we ended with the girls with 10 seniors. So, you know, it's a good problem to have. We have a lot of leadership on our team coming back. You know, Gabe Hernandez is really the only returning starter that we have, but we have a lot of guys that got significant minutes last year at the varsity level. So it doesn't look the same. I wouldn't say it's a rebuild. I would say, you know, we're putting in a new system and doing some of those things, so it's going to take a little bit of time. We're not going to be, you know, when we roll out for that first tournament, we're not going to have all the cylinders firing, but I think we're going to get there with this group.
Coach, as we get through at least preseason tournaments and, again, focus up on the conference play, again, whether it is down here in the Southeast Quadrant or, again, Northeast play, and get prepared for the regional tournament for Cheyenne South, in your expectations, Coach, this season, do you feel like South can be competitive, can come away with victories against Cheyenne Central, Cheyenne East on any given Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and again, when we take on those Thunder Basins, those Campbell counties, that South should be pretty competitive this season?
Yeah, I think we may surprise some people because I don't think the expectations are very high for us right now with everybody that we lost, and you see what's coming back around the state. But we've got a lot of players that I think will surprise you. Just in the sense, you know, we're going to be that TNT team that we talked about earlier in the year when I got the job and came on with you guys, and that for us, that stands for takes no talent. And we got to show up every day with a great attitude and give supreme effort. None of those things take talent. We just have to build the culture and get guys to buy in. You know, we want them to be good citizens. We want them to work really hard on and off the floor. And I think if we can, you know, instill some of those attitudes, we'll be in good shape.
You know, Chad, as we were talking with Coach Shaffer over at Cheyenne Central, and again, we were talking about Rusty Horsley's squad over at Cheyenne East, you know, teams that are coming back with veteran talent, but they also got size. And unfortunately at Cheyenne South, in all the years that South has been in business, size has not been the key factor. So you as a head coach, do you have to adjust to what you have on the floor, or does the Chad DeBruyn game plan pretty much remain the same? Because, again, I'm looking here at what you got coming out. Not a lot of big guys that are going to be significant in the middle.
No, you're right, and we've never really had the luxury of having much size, and I've always been a coach that likes to play fast and press and get up and down and do some of those things anyways. So, you know, the guys that we have right now, they kind of fit the system that I've always been around and always coached around, and you know, we have guys that have heart, and so I don't necessarily care if a kid's 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", whatever it is. I just want kids that are going to go sell out and lay it all on the line.
Coach, as we talk about, again, changing philosophy here for Cheyenne South this season with you being the new head coach for the boys basketball program, again, we talk about the lack of size, so really can't have that big man camp on the middle to guarantee a couple, you know, points here and there for Cheyenne South. What's going to be offensive style for the South High Fighting Bison as you look towards this upcoming season? Are we just going to look at this team bombing threes on the outside, try to sneak some of those smaller guys on the inside? I mean, what's kind of the offensive direction that we should expect out of Cheyenne South this season?
Yeah, we're going to play fast. We want to get the ball and go. You know, we will shoot the three. We're not going to be bombing threes necessarily, but we'll shoot the three in transition when the floor is broken, and maybe hope to go get an offensive rebound and some of those sorts of things. And yeah, we're going to be a team that has to get the ball out of the net and go right now, or get a rebound and just grab and go kind of team, and that's going to be our identity.
Coach, for Cheyenne South, it's been a couple seasons for this team. Again, it was under at least head coach Jim Shaffer, again, a couple seasons ago, getting into that state tournament for Cheyenne South. we look towards this season, again, we look at all the talent throughout the Eastern Conference, again, that regional tournament up in Casper at Natrona County. In your opinion, Coach, again, your expectations of this team, is it a realistic expectation that South could make it back into that state tournament this year?
Yeah, I think everything's on the table for this group of guys right now. You know, our quad is pretty darn tough. You guys know that. I mean, East and Central, which you already mentioned, are tough. And Laramie's pretty darn good. You know, Shafe left them in a pretty good spot, and Drew Evans is taking over, and he'll do a good job. And so our quad is tough. And then you go up north, and you got Thunder and the Sheridans of the world. And so our side of the state is just, it's really tough. We're going to see a lot of those teams on the other side of the state, some of these preseason tournaments and things like that, and even on into the Taco John's probably. And hopefully we can have some success against those guys and build on it when we get into quadrant play.
Chad, I pretty much know this answer because I've asked this of Rusty Horsley when he made that move from the East Lady Thunderbirds to the Cheyenne Thunderbirds. But enlighten our audience, you as a head coach, differences that you have to adjust to moving from the ladies program to the guys, coaching the guys. And again, you know, basketball is basketball, but things that you have to change going from the ladies to the guys.
Yeah, you bet. The biggest difference is just the speed of the game. You know, basketball is basketball, and it's not really a complicated game. If it were, I wouldn't be able to do it for all these years. But, yeah, the speed of the game and the fact that a lot of these guys can play above the rim and things like that, those are some of the adjustments that we have to make. Other than that, you know, my system remains pretty much the same. You know, a lot of the sets that we run are very similar, press breaks and presses and things like that. They're all the same. The guys can just do it faster and higher.
All righty, Chad. Hey, we are looking so forward to getting back into the high school season for this year. I know South High will be on our calendar.
As I say, our first contest with Cheyenne South will be at least either Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, part of that Taco John's invite. So again, as we turn the calendar into 2023, that's when we will see Cheyenne South for the first time this season.
All righty. Well, we'll give you plenty of time to get all practiced up, and we'll catch you during the Taco John's. You have a happy Thanksgiving, and looking forward to catching up with you in the new year.
Okay, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Chad DeBruyn join us here, head coach of the South High Fighting Bison. We're probably, Nick, around 25 minutes away or so from catching up with head coach Eric Westling of the Cheyenne Thunderbirds, so we'll keep it here.
Yeah, we'll keep it here. And again, as we
I won't even go to my spot over there.
No, again, we'll keep it at least moving away from the basketball, at least high school basketball ranks here very quickly. I do want to get into at least football talk once again, as we alluded to with the Wyoming Cowboys. Again, we mentioned yesterday on the show with at least the situation on the radio broadcast side. Again, controversy, again, air quotes on that one. But what happened, again, we won't dive too much into the situation. Again, we spoke upon it yesterday on K-Ray Reports. But today, instead, we'll focus on the game that was this past Saturday night over there in Laramie, Wyoming, between the Cowboys and the Boise State Broncs, where, again, Cowboys were on pace to shock the world to an extent. Again, Boise State, as we preview that contest, again, 14-point favorite going into it, even on the road. Cowboys had shots in that contest, had leads throughout that entire game, but just one question mark call or decision by one Craig Bohl.
One idiotic call.
Yeah,
let's call it like it is, Nick, and here's the deal. Defense, boy, you step up to the plate, and they did a great job. Were we expecting bigger things out of Clemens in his second game as a quarterback for the Cowboys? No. Again, he still has coverage problems, reading coverage.
Well, and again, I think that's the reason why, at least in the spread, again, it was 14-point advantage for Boise State. Where, again, defense, defense is going to show up again. This defense has been solid. Again, give credit to Craig Bohl and, again, his defensive coordinator over there in Laramie that, again, this defense is always solid year in and year out. They have the talent there to kind of slow down these offense, and again, they certainly did against Boise State. The offense just cannot keep pace, and that was kind of the issue, and I think that's why I kind of gave the nod to Boise to win that game, and I thought they could cover that 14 points just due to the fact that offense, it just couldn't keep up to pace, and I think it was going to be enough to at least get the Cowboys a victory, which, again, it still wasn't. But either way, though, again, it's something that this offense didn't expect them to put up 30, 40 points against Boise State, but I figure, again, I think we put them around 20-something. Yeah.
The offensive line, I thought, did a great job opening holes for Titus Webb. And, again, they also had another injury in the backfield.
Yeah.
Once again, that did not help. But the point is, and let me go back and kind of set the scene. I thought it was a great crowd. And, again, you got to remember, it's Thanksgiving weekend where a lot of the students were gone.
I think announced attendance was 17,000.
And that's pretty good. Again, when you have about 4,000 students that usually show up for games.
For late November, it was cold as well, too, night game.
So I thought the fan support was pretty good. I'm sure Boise traveled very well for that one as well. But you look at what happened, and again, you felt a miracle was in the making. You felt...
I wouldn't say a miracle.
No, because they were not going to win until that fumble. When that fumble happened and they returned it near the red zone, you thought, hey, something good is going to come out of this. And all they had to do, Nick, and again, let Larry be conservative coach. So, Craig Bohl, call me your armchair quarterback if you want. I don't care. You need to go. But here's the deal. All you had to do was run it in the middle. I would have played for the tie because you got Hoyland, who's got a great leg.
Yeah.
And take a chance on it busting. Your line has been blowing out that defensive front, and Titus Swem has been carrying the football. Again, look at the yards he had. And you set it up in the middle of the field, and I would take my chances in overtime. But no, what do? You throw it. The guy is 3 for 15, and you're throwing the football, and he throws it into double coverage, no less.
Yeah.
Who is the moron sitting up in the box at War Memorial Stadium, sending down that call where Craig Bohl's got the headset on, and Craig Bohl said, no, we're not going to do this. Let's run it this way. I know you're playing for a win, but you know what? You still might be playing if you'd have got the tie.
Yeah, again, on that, at least decision, again, did not see the presser for released by Craig Bohl. And again, at least he in a comment, remember, again, him kind of specifically saying that, again, he couldn't sleep that night, that, again, he was crying, that, again, it was a decision that kind of sits in his mind.
Should be unemployed.
And again, how many times have we've seen that similar kind of speech or line from Craig Bohl where, again, he's had some controversial calls like that have cost the Cowboys games. And again, this one is more notable just due to the fact that you had a chance to win the Mountain Division right here if you beat Boise State, which, again, you had a shot. You had leads in that.
To win the Mountain Division.
Instead, now Boise State, who we thought was going to win the Mountain Division, still wins the division. And now for the Cowboys, pretty much getting that at least Mountain West Championship, at least contest, is all but gone.
And again, now you got to go to Fresno. And Fresno is getting healthier. Okay.
Fresno sitting at the same mark again, 7-4.
So they're getting healthier. So what happens now?
Is Fresno a beatable team for the Cowboys even on the road? Yeah, I think so.
We'll see what kind of emotion the Cowboys will come back with, and maybe Peasley might be cleared to play. But the point is, you got to go to Fresno. And again, you're catching the Bulldogs probably at the wrong time.
Yeah. It seems like they're playing good football at the right time, preparing for potentially, at least, again, postseason play.
So instead of going to Fresno at 8-3 and a chance to play for something, now you're basically, well, if we win this one, we might get a better bowl game.
Pretty much. That's what your focus is.
And if you lose this one, you're going to get a dumpier bowl game.
Well, again, at least bases off of, again, the Mountain West in general. Again, looking at some of those teams, again, we saw more get bowl eligible the past couple of weeks. Again, at least from Fresno, from San Diego, Air Force sitting pretty well. Again, you look with Boise, again, clearly with the Cowboys. But, again, we'll see what bowls get divvied out to this Mountain West Conference, which, again, in my opinion, still I stand by it that, again, even though, again, I'd say the Mountain West Conference probably a step better than probably the MAC, maybe. Again, comparison to the Sun Belt Conference.
This conference,
I'm just saying,
this conference is near the bottom.
But yeah, again, I think that's probably what's going to hurt Cowboys, and again, a lot of these teams here in the Mountain West Conference. That again, whoever comes out top as that Mountain West Conference champion, probably not going to get a too sweet of a bowl deal, or at least nothing too prime time, just due to the fact that this Mountain West Conference, again, everyone's beating up on everyone, and that, again, no real clear favorite or dominant team has really stepped up out, at least within this conference, again, the dominant team would be that Boise State squad. But again, look how much they struggled on the road against the Wyoming Cowboys in what was pretty decent conditions and conditions that they're used to, especially playing up there in Boise. So, but again, going back to the Saturday's contest, again, for Craig Bull, and we called for his head many a year where, this is something that this Craig Bull experiment, again, the Bulls are nice and fine, but again, what are we more concerned with is Mountain West Conference championships, which, again, we still fail to get. And again, once again, here in 2022, we are not going to get another Mountain West Conference championship just due to the fact that, again, one careless play call that, again, Craig Bull is apparently can't sleep and crying due to his, again, whoever called it. And again, ultimately it ends with the main guy, with being him at the helm of Craig Bull. But come on now, like, you got to imagine, though, that this experiment has kind of run its course. If the Mountain West Conference, if these teams were on the same pace and level talent-wise as they have been in the past couple seasons, and we'll go outside and we'll step out from the COVID years, again, are the Cowboys sitting at 7-4 if they were playing those teams of old? And again, if we play that, I'm just saying, again, the Cowboys, I think, are in that position. They are here in 2022, just due to the fact that this Mountain West Conference, it is any given Saturday whoever can win. And again, we've seen that from top to bottom, that, again, teams can shock.
They're overachievers, okay? Again, nobody expected much out of the Cowboys. Yeah. I know I didn't, especially after the Illinois game. But this team got better.
You still have a glaring issue with the offense, and again, you can toss out injuries, but hey, guess what?
They're good run offense.
Every other FBS team, and moving on down the FCS, again, every team in college football deals with injuries, but they find a way to recover, or at least, again, get that next man to step up and fill that position. Again, that's why you practice. That's why you prepare for those scenarios. But again, it's fitting that for every single season, you can look back for the Wyoming Cowboys. Again, defense, we know is strong. We know it's solid. And we know it's going to step up and it's going to have some superstars, clearly. But the offense, how about this as a growing trend? And it's been a trend for what now, 7-8 seasons now, outside, again, or at least, again, we'll discount
the Josh Allen years.
And again, it's unfortunate to say that, but again, Josh Allen was a unique and special talent that only comes once in a blue moon to the Wyoming Cowboys.
And he was blessed with some great hands,
but
too.
It is something that this offense, it seems like for a good majority of the Craig Bull years, has been many steps behind this defense that the Cowboys kind of show up there. And again, it's reflective in the stats that, again, look at the stats, whether it is this year or pick, again, outside of the Josh Allen years, that offense has been near dead last.
Again, in a weak year of the Mountain West, okay, offensive line for the Cowboys, I give prompts to. They have done the job and opened up some holes. Titus Slim's having a great year, all right? I thought the protection for Clemens, for the most part, was pretty good. I think what you saw with Clemens is not ring rust, but basically just unsure of himself at that position.
Yeah.
And the other part of the equation for the Wyoming Cowboys, as they gained more confidence throughout the course of the year, all of a sudden we expected bigger and better things out of them. Now, again, you and myself last week felt that Boise was just a little bit better.
And they technically proved it this Saturday.
And well, no, the Cowboys beat themselves. Again, it wasn't Boise State beating the Cowboys. The Cowboys opened the door for themselves to lose. And they also cost themselves a Mountain West Conference championship run, which Craig Bull has stated time and time again, that's what I'm here to do. And again, Craig Bull, you have disappointed the entire, well, I'm sorry, you've disappointed me. I won't speak on behalf of the entire state of Wyoming. And again, you and I have had this little back and forth before. I think your time has come and gone, to be real honest.
Which is definitely weird to say, especially a team that's this season, again, 7-4, potentially could be 8-4.
And he's, 500?
Yeah.
In his career. But my point is,
I think just especially with the record there, and again, I think it depends on this Fresno State game. But yeah, again, conference record-wise, again, he's near 500, if not a little bit below or above it. Again, without
and here's the other part. Yesterday, I was with some friends, and one of them blurted out, well, I guess Craig Bowl has coached his last season at UW. I said, there's no way in hell. Somehow, some way, he'll find a way to come back because no one else wants Craig Bowl. Think about it. And, you know, if he goes anywhere, he's going to go down because basically his stock went down right after that game.
I think he can go in as a coordinator at some program, and again, I don't think it'll be anything of the Power 5.
What,
but again,
within the Broncos coordinator?
Within the mid-major, but who knows? Looking at the stats right now, again, for Craig Bull's time, again, starting his career here for the Wyoming Cowboys, 2014. Right now, again, it does stem on this Fresno State game to get him to 500. He is 52-53, at least he is 52-53 overall. He is 32-36 in conference play. So, again, sub-500 in the Mountain West Conference. And, again, if he gets the win against Fresno, we'll put him at 500 overall in his time for the Wyoming Cowboys with, again, 3 bowl victories, again, a loss in the Poinsettia to BYU.
That was the best bowl we've gone to.
Pretty much, yeah. I think plain and simple, again, you look at the other bowls, again, with the Arizona, with the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, again, twice, where, again, you saw the likes of Central Michigan, again, nobody teams out of the MAC, where, again, it really doesn't test for proving
You
anything.
lose this game against Fresno State, guess what? You're going to a nobody bowl again.
I think that is the reality, again, for the Cowboys, and I think for the majority of the Mountain West Conference, just looking at just the strength of this conference, it's definitely taken a step back, and I think other Power 5s or, again, other mid-majors are going to get that nod ahead before the Mountain West Conference due to the fact of, again, non-conference play and just head-to-head of just that it has been a dogfight that there is no real clear favorite here in the Mountain West Conference, but it is what it is. Stepping away very quickly, again, we'll have Coach Eric Westling here in about 10 or so minutes here on the program, talk Cheyenne East, Lady Thunderbirds basketball to round out the show, but I do want to talk about Cowboy basketball, the tournament that was, again, that little preseason, little fun get-together on the islands.
A couple of buzzsaws.
Yeah, they got shocked. They got shocked here, at least in non-conference play, where, again, this is a team that in preseason, before we tipped off for the Wyoming Cowboys, this is a team expected to make it to that at least NCAA tournament. They were, I wouldn't say odds-on favorite, but they were getting a lot of nods and a lot of looks saying, hey, watch out for the Cowboys. They could be something special.
What did you say, though? You said preseason. It means nothing. You know, if you're concerned about top 25 rankings, then this is absolutely awful for the Wyoming Cowboys. Again, their season's going to be in the Mountain West. You got to beat the San Diego States of the world. You got to beat the Boise's of the world, okay? CSU. You got to beat them. But preseason means squat, Nick. And again, to be ranked nationally, yeah, that's great. You're up there with the traditional powerhouses, Kansas, North Carolina, Duke. You know, you go right down the list. But preseason to me means squat.
But again, it does give you a litmus test of where this team possibly could be. Again, they are dealing with injuries. Again, EK being gone from the team. Again, that's a big issue. But again, as you're, again, a part of this Paradise Jam tournament, again, losing to likes of Howard, to Drake, to, again, yesterday against Boston College, who got embarrassed the day before, part of that, at least, tournament. Again, right now the Cowboys on a 3-game slide. They are 3-3 overall. I don't think it's concerning time right now for the Wyoming Cowboys, for Coach Linder, but it is something that these are teams that if the Cowboys are who preseason and folks around the nation thought they are, they shouldn't be losing 3 straight in a neutral site tournament to, again, the likes of BC, to Drake, to Howard. That, again,
they're losing not the perennial basketball powerhouses.
Exactly, yeah. And that, again, is it concerning right now? No. We'll see how this team responds. Again, looking up, they will be on the road, taking on, I do believe, Santa Clara University. So, again, that's on the road. See how they rebound, which, again, they should. If they go on a 4-game losing streak, then I think it's cause for concern.
See, and now I'm going to disagree with you because, again, Santa Clara comes out of the St. Mary's grouping over there in the West Coast. No, but, again.
They are not the Gonzaga.
I know, but the Broncos are pretty decent basketball program. They're not great, but you got to go to California and you got to beat them there in Santa Clara. This one, it kind of flip a coin on this one. I can't give you a feel, but I know basketball wise, they're one of the top 3 in that conference.
If anything, it tells you, again, that 3-0 start out of the box, again, against, no-name teams.
At
Nickel State, again, absolutely there at the AA. And, again, we know from years past that, again, to get power, or at least get those names here to the AA and non-conference, is almost impossible because no team wants to, again, come to 72-20. No one wants to run the risk of, again, of a potential unbeaten season or this or that, again, to get those teams where, again, the Dome of Doom is called the Dome of Doom for a reason. That, again, not many teams come to Laramie and win in a basketball contest. So, but again, this cupcake, and I'll use that, unfortunately, as the cupcake start to the schedule, it felt like it kind of backfired here a bit that, again, clearly the Cowboys weren't prepared for a neutral site against teams that were, I guess, a little step better than a Nickel State or a Southeast Louisiana or whatever, whoever's coming in. So I think that's kind of the unfortunate thing is that, again, injuries aside, the easy start out of the box didn't really help them for this Paradise
But
Jet.
also, too, injuries in the early part of the season. Again, long as they're not season-ending injuries.
And for EK, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, so, again, what I'm saying, having the injuries early on, again, preseason means squat. You want to win the Mountain West Conference. You want to win the tournament. You want to go on to, be one of the, 68 teams that gets that opportunity to play, 4 teams to play in.
Yeah.
But my point is, though, with the Cowboys, I'm not even remotely concerned right now. Yeah, Boston College and Howard, like you said, you run down the Drake. But again, these are not the greatest teams in sliced bread. But again, when I look at injuries, they're going to heal up. When they become full strength, hopefully is when Mountain West Conference season time begins in January, late December. And that's the team we want to see. Because, again, you're also, too, in preseason, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, you got your starting 5 per se, but then you start mixing in different combinations, and when you got an injury, you got to throw in another piece to the puzzle, and sometimes that doesn't blend in, and you're constantly trying to tweak things.
Yeah.
And that's why you got preseason.
Yeah, but this is a Cowboys team that, again, for Jeff Linder, again, knew who his stars were going to be. And, again, that 5, probably, again, there might be a couple that you put in and out, again, of a 6-man or 7-man swing part of the Cowboys. But, again, you know who's going out there for the Wyoming Cowboys this season, especially as we get into Mountain West Conference play. But, again, the 3-3 start, and, again, you look at some of the contests, they've been a lot closer than probably most folks would think, especially those home games that they had outside of the one early on. It is a little concerning that, again, this team who finished last year 25-9, can they match that mark? Can they still be a 25-game winner? Again, you kind of stop, at least for me, I stop and pause, and now I kind of go, should I believe the hype for this team preseason, or do we need to take a step back and look at reality that this team might struggle to get wins this season?
I didn't get excited at all. Hey, going to be nationally ranked and all that. I don't get excited about this anymore. And again, I let the games play. But I will give them a pass on a couple of key injuries. And when you got people hurt, that throws the wheel out of motion.
Yeah.
So, and again, too, when you're in preseason, and we've done enough basketball, especially on the JUCO side, where they're trying to get the right combinations. And again, where we see them go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 down the bench, that usually goes to about 5, 6, 7, maybe 8.
But it looks like they're struggling with, again, with 6, 7, 8 right now to at least fill those voids, which is a concern due to the fact that with the Wyoming Cowboys, that once we get into the Mountain West Conference play, guess what? Bugs, injuries, they're going to happen. Again, it's kind of the inevitable. We've seen that with this Cowboys team for many a season right now, and again, outside of being the Jeff Linder years, but again, you kind of run into that key injury that alters that season at a point in time, especially during conference play. Again, hopefully it doesn't happen to the Cowboys, but it is a concern that if someone is to go down, whether it's an EK or whoever part of that, at least main 5, who's going to step up? Where, again, we're going to need you against the CSU battles, where, again, the Rams are going to be a tough team. Boise State, you can't sell them. San Diego, when you see, again, UNLV might be up this year, or see, again, this Mountain West Conference, especially on the men's side.
A lot better than football.
Yeah, again, at least you got some competitive teams here in this conference that, again, whether it is on the road or, again, hosting these teams at the AA, that if you run into injuries and you're looking for that next man up, so far here in the preseason, they're showing that they're not stepping up, and that's kind of a concern.
They're 3-3 right now. Do you see them as a 500 team throughout the course of the year? In your opinion.
In my opinion, again, will they finish 500? No, I think they'll be better than 500. Will they meet that 25 win, at least win mark as they did last season? Right now, I pause and go, it'll be close, but I don't think they replicate the kind of the uniqueness of what was last year.
I got to be real honest. I don't care what they do in preseason. I'd like to see them probably about 6 games above 500. I'd like to see them 6 games above 500.
You should care preseason, though. Again, this 0-3 stretch on neutral site against in the Paradise Jam, though, again, if this team is to make it to that NCAA tournament, or at least kind of challenge themselves in the Mountain West Conference tournament and make it on to that next level again, you do concern yourself a bit of how your non-conference play, because, again, that matters seedings as well, too.
It'll come back to bite them. Yeah, I agree, but I see, looking at the Mountain West Conference, who they've got on tap, I see the Cowboys probably being about 6-7 games above 500 in conference play, and that's going to be enough.
Again, the key factor of this team, and I think the expectation for this team is very high, that, again, it is NCAA tournament or bust. Again, an NIT, I don't think folks are going to be – they'll be happy, but that's not what we're expecting out of the squad. Again, non-conference play, as much as you poo-poo it, here in Division I basketball, it matters a lot, especially if this team might be a bubble squad, and it looks like that could be a probability, but if they're a bubble team and at-large bid possibility, you look towards this non-conference where you struggle.
Those 3 losses right there, Drake, BC, and Howard.
It hurts big.
Right now, you might as well kiss it goodbye, because those aren't bubble teams.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Cheyenne East Lady Thunderbirds head coach Eric Westling. We're back after these words right here on 1480 K-Ray.
For almost 60 years, 1480 K-Ray has been Cheyenne's home for good times and great oldies. Add to that live play-by-play sports featuring high school football and basketball, along with LCCC men's and women's basketball. Now combo that with KYOY FM, and you have Cheyenne and the area's only locally owned AM and FM radio stations. But we don't stop there. We also have 2 FM translators which serve the area with programming from both K-Ray and KYOY. And that equals a lot of bang for your advertising dollar. Radio yesterday and now today, along with our websites, web streams, and digital ventures, makes us your one-stop shop. For more information, please call Larry Proietti at 307-637-0301.
Are you 60 plus and love to travel? Introducing the Senior Travel Discount Network, brought to you by Low Cost Airlines. Call us anytime, day or night, and save up to 75% on your airline and hotel reservations. We can help you save a ton of money to fly almost anywhere. We have inside discounts on over 500 airlines and 500,000 hotels worldwide. And when you call and mention the discount code 60 plus, we'll give you an extra free night with your qualified air and hotel reservation. Now you can get the best prices on air and hotel reservations with your phone. We make it easy and fast for you to save money and book a trip. Remember, call the Senior Travel Discount Network, mention the discount code 60+ for your free hotel night with your qualified reservation. Call now.
800-510-7126. 800-510-7126. 800-510-7126. That's 800-510-7126.
Your local hometown bank, First Year Bank, invites you to come celebrate the first anniversary of their downtown branch at 18th and Cary. And during the anniversary celebration, come to either branch at 1508 Stillwater Avenue or downtown and enjoy some coffee and cookies. First Year Bank is still offering the best CD rates around on a wide variety of CD products. So talk with Caitlin, Amy, and Lavana today. And for all your commercial lending needs, let Tim, Tad, Stacy, and Spencer hook you up to suit your business needs. First Year Bank, 1508 Stillwater Avenue. And now celebrating their second branch's one-year anniversary at 18th and Cary. We want to be your bank. Member FDIC.
Capital Lumber is lumber one in Cheyenne. Are you listening? We're all the lumber store you'll ever need. For electrical, plumbing, paint, and tools, lumber and hardware, we're for you. We're out to earn your business, yes indeed. Capital Lumber is lumber one today. Are you listening? Capital Lumber's at your service. all the way.
Remember, for all your lumber and hardware needs, stop at the family-owned and operated Capital Lumber Company at 1222 Dunn Avenue in Cheyenne. Check out the huge savings this week at Town & Country Supermarket Liquors. Here are just a few of the terrific weekly specials. It's your one-stop to shop for these Super Radio buys, heard only right here. Black Velvet Canadian Whiskey, 1.75-liter bottle, $13.49. Pabst Blue Ribbon Beer, 24-pack, 12-ounce can, $16.99. And Busch or Busch Light, 30-pack, 12-ounce cans, $20.99. Town & Country Supermarket Liquors on the South Greeley Highway, Cheyenne's low-price leader.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 K-Ray.
For the wise for today's sunshine, expect a daytime high near 50, mostly clear for tonight, low down to 23. Tomorrow, Wednesday, partly sunny and breezy. We're calling for a daytime high near 44, and for Wednesday night, a mostly cloudy night with a slight chance for snow in the forecast, blustery conditions. Our low dropping down to 23 degrees. And we welcome you back to the Pro Show. I'm Larry Proietti, along with Nick Proietti, and we bring on our final guest, and he is the head coach of the defending state 4A champion, Cheyenne Lady Thunderbirds, and we're talking with Eric Westling. And Coach, here we go. It's another season. Again, the summertime gyms and the young ladies are back at it. But, and I use the word but, unfortunately, in the high school ranks, you can't keep the kids. You gotta graduate them and move them to the next level. So another group that has been playing at the junior varsity level, those that are making their way over from Cary, a new group that is in. Talk about the numbers as we get ready for another hoop season.
Yeah, we hit the ground running last night. We're running about 43 kids right now, so we've got really good numbers for where we've been, and man, I'm impressed with this new group already, and love their work ethic.
Coach, I want to step back before we preview this upcoming season, though. Let's talk about very quickly again winning that Class 4A state championship, seeing that Cody Lady Bronx team, which again they were very talented. And that contest came down to the wire between you two. But as you had time now, Coach, to reflect upon that state championship, what was special? What was unique about your Lady Thunderbirds last year that again put you as now with a big target on your back here for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think the thing that I take away from that group is just their perseverance, night in, night out, to get everybody's best shot and just continue to be the best team they could be in that particular night. And that season didn't come without some scares of losing a game or two, but just how much the kids just believed in each other, and that's what I take away, because you don't see, that's just a historic, special thing to watch a group like that do what they did last year.
Eric, you have a team 2022, 2023. You build it around a very key senior, and usually it's somebody that's in the middle, but this one is right around out at the point, and that would be Brady Schlab. So you got to fill in the pieces to help Brady move this team up and down the floor.
And I'll get to so we got two. Bowden and Brady are returning all-state kids, and I was talking to our kids last night, kind of getting ready for our first practice, and I said, nobody else in the state gets to have state champions on their roster, but we do, and so I'm really excited for them to learn from those two and those other seniors that have been there and done that, but just really excited, and those two are taking on their roles really well.
Coach, we talk about graduating for this team. Again, you graduated a lot of height and a lot of size, but again, do return at least some of it, at least for the Lady Thunderbirds. How do you compare it to the rest of the state that also too lost some of their seniors? Is the Eastside Lady Thunderbirds, are they going to be a little undersized this season, or are we going to have some height? What are we seeing so far out of, again, those who showed up for practice last night?
Yeah, we've got some young size to us. And it's just going to be up to those kids to show that they belong on a certain level or can play certain levels. But, I'm really, really happy with where we're at in terms of size and kids and how we stack up with what I saw this summer.
You know what I like about your team that I've seen thus far, and what I'm looking at on paper, I look at this team as going to be very good defensively. And again, not that your teams haven't been good defensively, but I see a notch above of past teams.
Yeah, we're going to have to be scrappy by our very nature, and that's what I just last night I try and get them mentally tough early, and just watching the kids last night take every drill in stride and just be there for each other. It's addicting as a coach to get to be where I'm at and watch the kids year in and year out at East just accept challenges and want to go.
Coach, as we size up this season, again, we'll start here in the Southeast Quadrant. Again, Central with Coach Kirkbride. Again, they return a lot of veteran talent. Laramie, the Lady Plainsmen, they're kind of that dark horse team that might surprise a few coming up here this season. Cheyenne South with Coach Epler. Again, that's kind of a program that's in a rebuild mode as they're trying to get back, at least into kind of competitiveness. But again, you look at the Southeast Quadrant, it feels like it could be, once we meet up with Laramie, we meet up with Cheyenne Central, that it's going to be, scrappy games, and it's going to be tough to pull out those victories, whether it is on the road or, again, throughout Story Gymnasium.
Absolutely. Our quadrant is going to be really competitive. Bunch of good young kids that are only getting older over at Central. Laramie has, again, some kids in the junior range, a couple seniors, but they're and it's just going to be kind of getting back to that. You're just scrapping every game, and you better bring it or you're going to lose, especially in our quadrant for sure.
And let's keep it in the East as well too. We trade the Lady Trojans for the Phillies, and the East just got that much better.
They did, and it's. So we saw, for the first time in a long time, we saw a lot of those teams. We saw the Codys of the world. We saw Douglas this summer, Thunder Basin. Campbell County is on the rise again. They're playing at the level that I was impressed with. It's a scary proposition coming out of the East, just because of the talent that's there. So really, really excited for it. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of good basketball in the East Conference.
How do you deflect? And again, I've asked this of the football coaches, and I'll ask this of the basketball coach. Again, you're defending state champions. You got a bullseye, a huge bullseye on your backs every time you step onto the floor. How do you deflect that pressure off the ladies just to go out there and give you 32 minutes of basketball?
You talk about the game in front of you. So for us, it's the ninth. It's Kelly Walsh, and that's where we're going. You put the blinders on, and again, I talked about those kids, Brady and Bo, and the rest of my seniors, that they've had a bullseye on their back for a while now, and so they know the best way is the way forward, and just focusing on that next game, because you can't win anything if you don't win the next one. So we've got them circled. We know it's going to be a tough one to start the year, but playing Kelly Walsh at Kelly Walsh, that's where we're looking.
You got Brady and Bo, as you mentioned. Look at all that have been part of this championship run for the Cheyenne Lady Thunderbirds. And Nick, I can look at you. You got your name on one of those trophies in the trophy case. How do those ladies relate to the younger kids that are coming up? And because again, that's almost like having two extra coaches on the floor for you. How do they relate to these young ladies to blend all together and get ready for the upcoming season?
I think they do a great job so far this summer and at the start of this year is just trying to lead by example, number one. And that's such a powerful thing to me is everybody can talk, but if you lead by example, which those two do, it's hard to argue with them when they do something and then say something to you. So I think they both got great heads on their shoulders. They both want to get another one, obviously, but they do a really good job of not talking over kids and not talking, belittling a kid. They just talk to a kid, and the kids listen because they know who those two are.
Coach, as we look at this upcoming season, again, defending 4A state champions for the Cheyenne East Lady Thunderbirds, for you in your mind's eye, a realistic goal or expectation out of this team, is it something that we have it set minimum of its state championship or bust this season or make it back to that state tournament? What's kind of the real expectation, goal, or outcome of this Cheyenne East team as we look to both how competitive the West and the Eastern Conference is going to be this season?
Since I've been around, our goal is always to win a state championship, and that's a lofty goal. But that's what it is, and to me, that's what it has to be. You set your goals to where you better want to win a state championship. And so, again, going back to that, the way we do that is want that goal, but understand that we can't do that without winning every game we possibly can.
Eric, and I think back, and I've been around a long time here, and I go back into the 80s when Larry Unger was the head coach, and they had some success, and then they went through some really tough times. Then you enter the likes of Rob Redmond, Jerry Schlabs, and Jerry, I think, pretty much built that program from the ground up, handed it off to Rusty Horsley, and then, of course, Rusty, left all of the working parts over to you. But talk about this East High Lady Thunderbird basketball program. Again, you go back to the days of the Gillette Camels before they were Campbell County. It's almost like Cheyenne East, I don't want to say patterned their program after Gillette, but it's like it's been consistent, like the Lady Camels for, almost like the last 30 years.
I absolutely think so. And I think, like what a gift to have the two guys that, help build this thing to what it is. And one is my boss as the AD, and one is my counterpart and the boys and a good friend. And I get to feel that pride in what we've come up with here, and you get to have that. And to that end, I don't know if there's not many dissimilarities in that. I just hired Ashton Horsley and Shane Carter, two former players for us, are new to our staff, but they've been through all the wars, and they know what Lady T-Bird basketball is about, so I'm pretty excited.
It's about the kids winning that state championship, but again, too, you and your great coaching staff. And again, can't do it by yourself. You got coaches at all levels on the varsity, junior varsity, and down to the younger kids, even younger kids. But talk about it from the heart, and just you and me and our listeners right now. Talk about winning those state championships since you've come on board, and again, being even as assistant coach. How special are they? Do they get better each and every time?
It's kind of surreal anymore, and it's fun to watch young women that dedicate so much of their lives and put up with all the requirements we have for them, to have that success at the end, that culminating just sheer joy of, we are the best in this state. We're the best that the state has to offer this year, and it's just so fun to watch young women they get it. They get all the hard work, all the things that at the end of the year when that happens, it's just so neat.
Well, Coach, we are looking so forward to catching up with the Lady Thunderbirds. We will see you at Taco John's coming up here after the first of the year. So, again, as we venture back into the high school ranks, looking forward to a lot of basketball with Cheyenne East, both boys and girls this season. Coach, all the best to you, and thanks again for joining us. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Eric Westling, join us here on 1480 K-Ray. Nick, and just a couple of closing comments before we say adios from the Pro Show today. And again, from our family, we want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Will we be back Monday? Yeah, we will be.
Yeah, we will, at least with Carrier Reports. Looking forward to that. We'll have United Way of Laramie County come in, talk about their upcoming holiday programs or services that they'll offer here. Cheyenne, and also, too, again, Laramie County in general, so looking forward to that. I do believe also, too, we will have a representative from City Council as well, too, joining us, I do believe, from Ward 3, so we will have that individual join us. And, again, reaching out to a few other folks for the Pro Show for next week. Again, obviously, we got the three head coaches here today. We'll try to get, again, Coach Kirkbride, Cheyenne Central Lady Indians in. We'll have Brody Epler, hopefully. Again, this is all tentative and hopeful that, again, we'll have Coach Kirkbride, we'll have Coach Brody Epler, Cheyenne South girls basketball head coach, and then also to Rusty Horsley, Cheyenne East boys basketball head coach, coming up on next week's show. And, again, whoever else, potential surprise guests. Again, we need to get to the bottom of the Independence League situation with our friend, again, owner Chuck Heeman, of what's going on in that scenario. Also, too, again, regarding our high school basketball schedule, again, we talked about Class 4A. We will cover all East, Central, and South, at least teams coming up this season. We also, too, will go down to Class 2A, 1A with Pine Bluffs and Burns. We will have a couple of their contests. So, again, we'll reach out to those coaches. Hopefully, we'll get them on at least coming up in the month of December to talk and preview their upcoming seasons, as we will see Burns, Bronx and Lady Bronx basketball, and Pine Bluffs, Hornets and Lady Hornets basketball at points and times this season, as well as, again, similar to what we did with the high school football schedule. Again, we will do the same for basketball upcoming here on 1480.
So you and me again, right? So we drop out of the JUCO ranks and we head back into the high school. Again,
becomes a lot less stressful.
Well, and again, it's been a while since I've been out of the field house, and now I know the Thunderdome has been all fixed up, and we've been over at South High. Doing the video live stream as well. So a couple of games will be floor level, and
some
over
up
at
top.
South
It just depends on the location of where we are, including that Greeley Central tournament for Cheyenne Central, which, again,
I hope
that'll
they
be our
put
first.
us in the same spot
We'll see. Again, it'll depend on, again, where Central is playing that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday down there in Greeley, Colorado. But, again, we'll give you the updates as soon as we know them. Again, still waiting on a few pieces to release our at least broadcast schedule here on 1480 KRA. But, again, we will be there audio-wise, 1480 AM, 101.1 FM, 1480KRA.com on the audio side. Video live streaming as we do for KRA Reports. Same with the Pro Shows, same with high school football, now with high school basketball upcoming. Again, on the 1480 KRA YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe, give us a like on that side. We appreciate that. Follow us on our social media sites, whether it's the Facebook pages, 1480 KRA's Facebook page, the Pro Show's Facebook page, and also to me over on Twitter at ProMan56NP. At least go follow me over on that side. So, again, looking forward to it. Again, high school basketball. Again, we are about a couple weeks away. Again, we will start out with Cheyenne Central. We'll have the Christmas break, and then we're heavy into, again, conference action with Taco John's invite to start out the year.
All right. Looking forward to it. Again, from our family here, our radio family, and the Proietti family, we want to wish each and every one of you a very happy Thanksgiving, and we will talk to you coming up on Monday right here on 1480 KRA. So for the Pro Show, I'm Larry Proietti. He's Nick Proietti. We now return to regular programming on 1480 KRA.